Former Yankee Jim Leyritz thanks to Red Wing Shoes every Wednesday at 5:15 with Armen and Levack, 104.5 The Team. Jimmy, good to talk to you, man. Is there any Yankee that's more important than Dellin Betances, who currently has over 70 strikeouts and a 1.4 ERA on the season?
Well, I would say yes and no. I mean, there's nobody more important for that bullpen, I think, than Dellin Betances. But as far as the Yankees go, I think Tanaka is probably even more important, because he's the ace of that staff, and if he's able to make every start from here on in, I think it just increases the Yankees' chances of getting to the postseason. But Betances is important to that bullpen. At the same time, I look at my starter being a little bit more important than my bullpen.
Okay, now when it comes to Tanaka and being the starter, and we've had the conversation about, Buster only told us the only thing the Yankees have going against them is the possibility of injuries. And we've talked about ad nauseum on this station, if they do get an injury to the starting rotation, whether it's CC, whether it's Tanaka, whoever it might be, you still have Adam Warren in the bullpen, and then you got two arms at the AAA level, one guy with the last name of Severino that's just chomping at the bit to be brought up. Does that depth not make you feel a little more confident if a Tanaka were to go down?
Well, I think so. I think there's a way that they would have they would definitely have a substitute in one of those two guys, but at the same time, he's a proven Tanaka's a proven commodity, and he has the stuff to be good enough to be an ace. He's a guy that can stop a 2-game losing streak or 3-game losing streak. I don't know if some of these young guys can do that. Adam Warren, I think you're right, could step back in the rotation in a heartbeat and still be effective, but I still don't think to have Tanaka as your number one guy, healthy and making every start, I just think it makes that rotation. It sets the precedent for the rest of that rotation.
Girardi's getting to the point where it gets hacked off when anyone mentions, Tanaka and a potential injury. There's no way that the Yankees don't have Tanaka's injury still floating in their mind somewhere, right?
Well, I mean, I think so, but at the same time, I think the media made it a little more emphasis when he hurt his wrist and his forearm. And according to them, that was not even related to the elbow issue. So I've got to believe that that could have been just something that happened to him, and that he's going to be able to make the rest of his starts. But again, yes, you don't want to talk about something you don't want to happen. And I know that Girardi's that kind of guy. He doesn't like to talk about what could happen, or especially something bad, because he's a firm believer. If I talk about it, it might happen. So they try to stay away from that issue as much as they can.
Former Yankee Jim Leyritz with Armen and Levack on 104.5 The Team. Thanks to Red Wing Shoes every Wednesday. Jimmy, the Yankees sent down Rob Refsnyder on Sunday. Was that the right move?
I don't think it was the right move. If they were going to not bring Stephen Drew back or take him off the roster, they have to trade him or get rid of him. And maybe they're not ready to do that yet. But I'm at a point now with I think we've given Stephen Drew a pretty good chance to show what he can do, and I think it's time to maybe give somebody else a chance, because that second base position is still one of the biggest weak spots in that Yankee lineup. All
right, so in your mind, it is time for the Yankees to say goodbye to Stephen Drew. In your mind, you've seen enough of Stephen Drew.
Yeah, I think so. If you're judging the guy strictly on performance, I think it's time to pass the torch to somebody else and give them a chance.
Jim Leyritz, former Yankee, two-time World Series champion with Armen and Levack. You mentioned Rob Refsnyder going up and down. What does that do to a guy to be sent from AAA to the bigs finally and then be sent down 4 games later? How is that mentally? How much does that affect him?
Well, I think, politically he handled it right as far as the media and what he said. I know deep down he's not too happy. And I've been in that position before. It doesn't destroy you, because, again, he didn't get sent down because of performance. He got sent down because of the numbers. And they did explain that to him before he left. And as much as he wasn't happy to hear it, it doesn't jolt your confidence. Had he come up and gone, 0 for 30 and then got sent down because he didn't perform. He never really got the opportunity to. So I don't think getting sent back down this time is going to ruin him. I think it's going to make him even more work harder to try to, get back up here and have that opportunity. And the more Stephen Drew plays and the more he doesn't perform, I think it's going to give this kid another chance.
Jim Leyritz, former Yankee with Armen and Levack. Thanks to Red Wing Shoes. Jacoby Ellsbury had 2 terrific plays last night in the outfield. Does he get enough credit for the speed and the plays that he makes in the outfield?
Well, yeah, I mean, he's always been known as a good defensive outfielder. There was no doubt about that. The biggest question always on him has been his health, and can he stay in the lineup? But no, I do think, yes, in a way, he is a little underrated for how he plays defensively in center field. And, he is one of the keys, I think, to the Yankees getting to the postseason. He's got to stay in that lineup and be healthy, because when he's in that lineup with Brett Gardner, they got a pretty good dynamic right there.
You mentioned Brett Gardner. He got in trouble and fined for wearing white cleats the other night against the Mariners. Did you ever have a guy you played with that tried to test these rules or got fined, or did you ever get fined?
Well, it was hilarious because we were watching. I was at the game, and I looked up on I was watching in the suites, and I looked up and I saw the white spikes. I said, "What the heck is going on here?" I go, "That's never been allowed, except in the All-Star game when they did allow the guys to wear whatever they wanted to, but that's never been allowed as part of the Yankee uniform." And sure enough, Cashman saw it, and Major League Baseball saw it, and they said, "Hey, wait a minute, that's not." There is a rule in the Yankees that 51% of your spikes have to be black, and there's no wavering on that. And sure enough, they called him up and said, "Hey, and he explained it. You know what? The New Balance gave them to him for the All-Star game, but he couldn't wear them there because they were too tight or size. They didn't fit right or something, and that he owed it to them, maybe as part of his contract, to do that. So he wore them for the one game, and like you said, you'll never see them again."
Yeah, well, I just thought it was funny that you noticed it. That's funny to me that you wait a minute. How does he get away with that crap?
Well, it was me, Cecil Fielder, Mike Torres, and Mickey Rivers. We were up in one of the suites, and I looked up and I saw him, and I said, "Guys, if he's wearing white spikes, is that right?" And all three of them looked and said, "Oh my God, that we've never seen that before." So yeah, I mean, we all noticed it. We all knew that there was definitely a rule against in the Yankee code that you don't wear white spikes.
Jamie Leyritz with Armen and Levack, 104.5 The Team, your home for New York sports. Trade deadline. We are 9 days away from the trade deadline. What do the Yankees need to do, Jim?
They're going to keep running Stephen Drew out there. They need to go find a second base if they're not going to give this other kid a chance. I talked to Cashman yesterday, and he said, we're really not too worried because we just got Nova back. That's like making a trade. And they feel that there's more of a need offensively to find another bat than there is to find more pitching. So I think if they do anything, it'll be on a smaller level, and it'll be for maybe just another piece of the puzzle to help them offensively, that they make a move. But as far as yesterday talking to Cashman, he didn't really tip his hand either way. That he said, "Listen, what we have now is working." And the old adage is you don't fix something that's not broken.
Jim, for the first time this year, the Yankees are 10 games above 500, 5 games in the lead of the AL East. What is the ceiling for this team?
Well, I think they feel confident. I think they feel that they have the team right now. I keep going back to the exception of second base. They have the team right now that they think they can go to the playoffs with. And I don't think that they would make any changes, any big changes. And one of the things that Cashman did talk about was, we have all these prospects that are almost ready. We don't want to turn around and get rid of them for a spare part, that we're only going to have it for a year, or somebody that we may not, be able to sign. So I think that's going to be more on their radar than anything else. And again, this team is playing every day with more and more confidence, and I think Girardi's got them going on the right track.
Jimmy, what are you up to this weekend, man?
I'm still in New York. I got one more night at the stadium tonight, and then I finally get to go back home to California. Get to go home and see my son, who I haven't seen since he had surgery for Tommy John surgery. So I'm looking to get home, spend a few days at home, and then the next Yankee homestand, and be right back up here. And again, just follow this team until we see if they're going to make the playoffs or not. I think it's it's something that if we would have said it at the beginning of the year, no way. All the experts had the Yankees possibly playing, being in fourth or last place in this division. And here they are right now, like you said, 10 games above 500, 4.5 games in the lead. They look like a ball club that's going to make the playoffs.
Well, yeah, Buster Olney came on at the beginning of the year and said the Yankees were going to make the wild card, and he and Levack were, high-fiving each other. And I'm like, boy, aren't you guys cute? Like, you guys are so funny. You guys are so silly. And it's actually a reality now. They can win the dang division. It's pretty crazy, man.
Yep. Yeah. It's like I said, they're riding a wave of confidence right now, and hopefully it continues. If it does continue, they'll be in good shape.
JimLeyritz.com. The Greatest Save is his foundation, thegreatestsave.org. That's who Jim Leyritz does his work for and believes in as well. Jim, thank you so much for joining us this week, and we look forward to next week, man.
All right, man. Good talking to you. We will talk to you next Wednesday from, let's see, where am I at next Wednesday? I think I'm in California.
Forget Carmen, San Diego. Where in the world is Jim Leyritz? All right, Jimmy, talk to you next week. Jim Leyritz, always brought to you by Red Wing Shoes in Clifton Park Center. Presented by Red Wing Shoes, where just like the Yankees, excellence is a standard. Visit them at cliftonpark.redwingshoestore.com. They can fit your feet, your job, your hobby, and your wallet. Red Wing Shoes.